Namaskar sabhi ko. My name is Anuj and I've recently posted a story on my Instagram that if anyone is interested to understand a basic knowledge of Vedanta, or should I upload a video or not, and many of them were very interested. Like, that's the highest number of poll and votes I have received on that video. So the question I've asked in that video is that my video should be in English or it should be in Hindi. So most of them have polled for English language, but I think it is very important that all these scriptures, it's very convenient and it's very important to being understand in the same language. But because Vedant is a subject which is more reachable towards the Western people, so it should be in English language and it is more accessible. So before starting this video, I want to give you a small disclaimer that if you guys have a short span attention, please immediately stop this video right now, because it's not going to do the justice with the knowledge, and at the same time it's not going to do the justice with the time. Because understanding the Vedanta, understanding the Vedic scriptures, you need to be open with your ears and you need to be open with your mind to understand what is hidden behind it. Now, first of all, I'm not a Vedantic scholar. I'm a passionate reader and a passionate, curious student of Vedanta and Brahma. So I will, today in this video, I'm going to put some introductory light upon the Vedantic studies, especially upon the Brahmasutra. So it is a request before we start. I want you to just either stop the video and you can just listen, So that is the best way to understand. Now, I have keeping a small notebook with me today and I'm going to keep referring it because I have noted down some points which is valid and we can go step by step. In the first section, I'm going to talk about why Vedanta. What is the meaning of Vedanta? Where it's coming from. Then I'm going to talk about the three pillars of Bharatiya Sanskriti. The three pillars of where the Indian complete culture is standing upon. So we're going to discuss about it. Then we're going to talk about why Brahmasutra. Then we're going to talk about who is the biggest acharya, the biggest scholar of Brahmasutra, and who initiated it and who wrote it and who compiled the entire work of Vedanta and give us in a form of very easy and accessible way. There are some contraindication between the knowledge itself, so we're going to discuss in depth a little bit, and then we're going to discuss about some chapters and their parts and what they convey. This video is not about explaining every bit detail of what every chapter holds and includes. This is just a summary, an introductory video. Those who are very passionate और जिन लोगों की रुचि है ब्रह्मसूत्र के ज्ञान प्राप्त करने में, जैसा कहा है कि ब्रह्म जिज्ञासु. So if you are a jigyasu, if you are a curious person to know the Brahma itself, this is a video for you. At least a start, an initial start. So I'm very happy, and so let's begin. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is Vedanta. What is Vedanta? Now, Vedanta itself is, the meaning itself lies in the word Vedanta. So, if you break it down into two parts, it's called Vedanta. It means the ant of Vedas, means the end, the concluding part of the Vedas. It's called Vedanta. So now Indian structure, the Indian Sanskriti, the Indian culture, the Sanatan Dharma, it's been standing upon the three pillars which are very most important. But the foundation of these pillars, the ground, the neve of this pillar is Vedas. So Vedas has been initiated by the gurus, from the sages, from the Maharishi. But you have to be very clear how you be portrayed, because Vedas are not something which is written by the Maharishis. It is reconstructed it and giving in the shape and a form. The Rishis of Indian culture has given the shapes to Vedas. So it has been said that Vedas or Brahma, it is something which is existing everlasting. It was exist before even the earth was there, even this universe form. It was there in this present moment, and it's there and it will be there in the future. So we also call this as Swata Praman. It means this is something which everlasting. For example, I'll give you a small example of it. Like when we say has like Newton has given us the laws of gravity. Now we cannot say that Newton has given us the laws of gravity. Newton reconstructed the form and given us the shape. The gravity, the law of gravity was ever existing. It was there the moment this universe formed, the moment this earth, the atmosphere come in the shape. But yeah, of course, he given us the shape, he given us the direction. Similar, like Sanskrit language. Sanskrit language, the Panini doesn't given the shape. He gives us the form, the words, the alphabets. But Sanskrit was everlasting. It comes out from the Shiva Damru. And when Panini listened, he given us the shape, and that's how we know the language today and after Sanskrit. So, but anyway, the most important thing is Prasthanatraya, which I'm going to talk about now. So, Prasthanatraya is the three pillars of Indian culture, Bharatiya Sanskriti. Now, what are the three pillars of Bharatiya Sanskriti? First of all, we'll talk about it. These are Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and Brahmasutra. Now, why only Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahmasutra? Why not all the Puranas, Bhagavad Puran, Shiv Puran, Garuda Puran, and any other form of knowledge? Because these are the results of Veda. Now, everything which came like Yoga Sutra, Samhitas, whatever we have, after that, it is all the byproduct of the Vedas itself. So, it is very important to understand the Vedic conclusion, which is given in the form of Upanishad. Now, Upanishad, the first pillar, Upanishad cannot be something which you can read and study and you get to know. Upanishad, the meaning lies within the word itself, which means Up means up, Ni means down, and Shad means like Sharanam, like you are something which you are learning under the Sharan of Gurus. So Upanishad is something which you can only hear. That's why it's also called Shruti Prasthana. The first Prasthana, we said Prasthanatraya, the first Prasthana is Shruti Prasthana. It means some things you can only over hear, the knowledge which you can gain from the hearing. And after Shruti Prasthana, we have the second pillar, it's called Smriti Prasthana. The Smriti Prasthana is all about something which you have recollect through memorizing. So that's why the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is a part of Mahabharata, it's been considered, it is as a part of Smriti Prasthana, the second pillar. Now, it is very important to understand that without having a prior knowledge of Upanishad, someone should not promote or give the direction or teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And those who are doing it, they are doing in a very wrong way. So that's how it's written in the scriptures, that one should have the knowledge of Upanishad before they proceed further to give the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Now, it is also said in the scriptures that Bhagavad Gita is like a milk which is given by the Krishna to Arjun, and Upanishad is a cow. So you can understand how they put it into the scripture way. And the last one, the last pillar of Prasthanatraya is Nyaya Prasthana, the Prasthana. Now, why Nyaya Prasthana? Because Nyaya itself means something which has a firm and logical reasoning. So that's why we consider Brahmasutra in it. Now, after this, we're going to talk about Upanishad. Now, Upanishad. So we have total number of 11 Upanishad, which is considered as one of the most important Upanishad. And out of 11 Upanishad, we have used as a base to proceed further. Either we are using Bhagavad Gita or we are using in the form of Brahmasutra. Now, of course, they are Upanishads are more than 11. They are closer than 108. But all of them are out of 11 Upanishad, or all of them are just picked up from one part and they have tried to create something, picking up from one sutra, shloka from one place to another and try to create something. But 11 of them are the most. So we have like Kena, Khato, Isha, we have this Mandukya, but the main thing is the two most important is Chandogya Upanishad and Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. So these two major Upanishad is very important whenever we study the Upanishad studies. And based on these two major Upanishad, we have the entire Vedantic structure which is standing upon, which can be Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. So these two concepts of complete Brahma Gyan, the Brahma, the knowledge of Brahma, is completely standing upon these two Upanishad. Now, one more important thing which I want to put a light upon is, before we proceed further, is one of the greatest philosophers, Radhakrishna, used to say that the Vedanta is the face, the last face of human thought. It means कि मनुष्य की जो सोच है वो वेदांत के तक खत्म हो जाती है. मनुष्य उससे आगे सोच नहीं सकता. Human cannot think beyond Vedanta. What a beautiful line he said. So that's something which we have to, I want to put a light upon, that these are one of the words of Radhakrishna, that a human thought, human face thought cannot go beyond Vedanta. So one of the very important things. Now, next one is, I'm going to talk about two different things. So the knowledge of Vedanta can become between two forms, Shrota and Shravana. Now, whenever we listen, whenever we receive knowledge through the form of our senses, ears, eyes, okay? See, these are the senses which has a tendency of outward going. Because whenever we have eyes, whenever we look upon something, we get easily distracted. For example, if you're watching your teacher speaking something about the knowledge, there might be chances you will looking upon something else. So eyes are one of the major distractions. Something similar with ears, but ear has less tendency of getting distracted compared to the eyes. But still, it's a part of our senses, and sense organs are meant to go outward until and unless you channelize it with the yoga practice and you make these sense organs working inward. So one of the major problem arise in Vedanta is called Trishna. Now it's very difficult to write in English language. It's called Trishna. So Trishna is about a desire, a seed which develops inside a human sense organs, human mind, a consciousness to develop the ignorance. So Trishna is like a seed which is ignorance between what is truth, what is non-truth of life, what is pap, punya. It's totally a complete avidya. The life which we are living right now, which we consider as a truth, so that's what avidya is. So Sat Chit Anand, it means the truth which has been established, the truth, the blissful state, that can only be understood through Brahmasutra, through the Vedanta, because Trishna is a beach which is ignored. But Brahmasutra is the only way which can take you from completely destroying this seed of ignorance. And also Brahmasutra is one of the major reasons which also gives you the momentum, fast momentum. So it's not only important that through Brahmasutra we destroy this seed, it's also important that how we get momentum, a fast momentum. That's very important. Not even momentum, a fast momentum to reach towards the Brahma. So that is something which I want to put a light upon. Now, the next one is the knowledge of spiritual knowledge, the Adhyatmic Gyan, can only be gained through Upanishad. Because as I said, Upanishad is like a cow, and the milk which is given by Krishna to Arjun, it's Bhagavad Gita. And the recollection work, it's Brahmasutra. Now, how we have the access of Brahmasutra in the today's time, that is something which we need to put a light upon. So, it's a long story, but I will try to make it short because we don't have that much time. So, Brahmasutra has been a recollection work of Maharishi Bhadranarayan. Okay. Now, if you see in India, you're going to see a picture. This picture you're seeing on the screen is the temple Badrinath. Now, whenever you see Badrinath, people have mispronounced, even in the Hindi language, they put Ra after the. So you put the Ra matra, it becomes something completely different. So it's very important that you use correct matras in the Hindi or Sanskrit language to give the perfect meaning of what we are trying to explain. So Rishi Badrinarayan, which we also, the normal people also called him Maharishi, Ved Vyas, because Ved Vyas was the guy who recollected all the Upanishad and converted into the Brahmasutra. Why he did it? One of the reason is we have to focus upon why he did this work is because the Upanishad teaching has a lot of contraindication in between. For example, I'll give you a small example. I will not go in detail. For example, if there is a teaching of Purusha, which means the soul, the prana, it also means a male. So these one word can mean two different things, and every Upanishad tried to explain this one single word in a different form. Same with the ether, same with akasha, same with prana, same with vayu. So all these words were contraindicating each other. So that's why Maharishi Vedvyas, Badrinarayanji, he was in that place and he recollected all the work because he also had the knowledge of Brahma Gyan. Some people say in the scriptures that he was a part of an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So he recollected all the work and he created a constructed work of Brahma Sutra. Now, in Indian culture, some people called you acharya, in Vedanta, it means you have done some Bhashya in Brahma Sutra. Now, Bhashya is like a commentary, it's like a work, it's like you are giving a tarka vitark. It means you are putting all the different forms of Brahma Sutra, so there are no contraindication or conflict in the future. So there is no proper way to explain in English language, but I'm trying my best. So there were 10 acharyas in India ever since, and out of them, two are the main important ones. One we all know, Adi Shankaracharya, and another one is Ramanujacharya. Now, from the Nath Sampradaya, from the of Shivism, the Adi Shankaracharya has initiated the Vedanta, which we now consider as Brahmasutra, Vyas Bhashya by Adi Shankaracharya. That is the one which we really focus upon. That has been considered by the entire world, Swami Vivekananda, and then lead upon. But from the Vaishnavism, Ramanujacharya was being followed up highly. Now it is very important that, as I said earlier, that Puranas are not considered as the Brahma knowledge because they have used a lot of personification, a lot of human examples to try to explain the same knowledge, which makes the teaching more in a gross manner. So that's why it's very important that a subtle explanation can only be understood by the Brahma Sutra and Vedantic studies. Now again, there is a problem arise with whatever we teach through the mouth, whatever we teach through the terms of words, it has certain limitations, and these knowledge cannot be initiated by the words, but at least you will have a momentum, you will have that sense of push to go further. So it's very helpful in that case. Now, next we're going to focus upon Adi Shankaracharya. So, as we say, Brahma Sutra is the path to understand the Gyan Prapti. If someone wants to understand, if someone wants to take the knowledge, not the knowledge or the skill or the academical knowledge which we gain from the universities and the school, the Gyan, the real truth of the life has only been given by the Brahma Sutra. So, when we call upon Brahma Sutra, we have to be very specific because Brahma Sutra in itself divided into 4 different adhyayas. And these 4 adhyayas are, number 1, Samanvaya, 2nd, Avirodha, 3rd is Sadhan, and the 4th one is Phala. Now, Adi Shankaracharya has been used every single word because he was one of the greatest commentator on the Acharya of Vedanta. And after Adi Shankaracharya, no one has ever born, since after thousands of years, like no one has ever given this commentary after Adi Shankaracharya because he did the refinest work ever because there were no conflict or not any contraindication between. He just, if I say in Hindi, उसने पूरा खंगाला, उन्होंने पूरा खंगाला उसको, उसका तर्क वितर्क अच्छे से देखा और the most important thing what he did is to take out the meaning of every word in a perfect way, so it doesn't contraindicate in the future. And there's not been any contraindication since he is given the work. Before that, there were a lot of difficulties, and lot of acharyas have given the Vedanta in a different form. Some have been given Dvait Vedanta, which is a dualistic approach. Some says Advaita Vedanta. Some say the Vishesh Vedanta. So there are different forms of Vedanta has been given by the different acharyas. But it's very important that we follow up Adi Shankaracharya's work, because this is one of the finest, because it has certain foundation which no one can remove. That's how the finest, that's why I called Nyaya Prasthana, because it's so logical, so founded, it's very drid, you cannot shake or move. So we are very lucky to have a blessed sage like Adi Shankaracharya to have in this world. So out of these 4 adhyayas which I've just spoke, number 1 is Samanvaya. In Samanvaya, in every adhyaya, in every chapter, there are also 4 sections. So 4 into 4, it becomes 16 parts. So there are total 16 parts. And in every part, every section, now that's going to be complicated for some of you. In every section, there are some adhikarmas. Okay, they are small parts. And to explain these adhikarmas, there are some sutras to even explain the detail of what they are trying to achieve with it. So if I go one by one, if I go with the first chapter, which is Samanvaya, Samanvaya is talking about what is Brahma. So if someone is curious about Brahma, what is about Brahma, and what is the characteristics, what is the roop of Brahma. So that's why they call this as Nirguna Brahma. It means what are the characteristics, what are the guna, nirguna, sarvaguna, what are the characteristics of Brahma. It has been detailed, explained in the first chapter. So there is no conflict. But other thing, when we discuss about Vedantic studies, it's very important to put a light upon, that is that once we go through the studies of Vedanta, a lot of people conclude that Adi Shankaracharya said that that Brahmasutra teaches about that the life he lives in, it's a delusion, it's a aste, it's the life which we are seeing, it's a dream. So that is the misinterpretation. A lot of people are taking it as a wrong way. You have to clear that. This life we are living in, it's not dream. Adi Shankaracharya ji never said something like that. He used a word very specifically called mithya. Now there is a difference between mithya and aste. So when we talk about mithya, mithya means, I will explain you with an example of Vedanta. So understand it like that. For example, let's say you go to a goldsmith, okay? You have a gold ring and you take it to the goldsmith and you tell him to make it an earring out of it. So he will take that ring, blow it, and he say, oh wow, what a nice gold. And then you will say, why is he using the word gold? It's a ring. But to be understand, he is telling the first roop, the actual swaroop. How do we say swaroop? He is talking about the actual origin of it. For example, when we say we have this body, scientists will say you are made up of atom. Now it is just, I'm trying to put in a gross way, but when you understand the Brahma Sutra, they talk about, of course, this is a ring, but it is gold if you see it. For example, let's say our human eyes are not capable to see the real truth. For example, whenever we see the sun, for example, this is the sun. And when you see the sun, you can only see the plate, a round shape. Okay? We cannot understand the real actual origin, how this sun looks like, because we are not capable of it. It does not mean that that doesn't exist in that shape, in that form. But because of the researches of the scientists, we know the actual form of sun, actual state of sun. So yeah, it was there. So there are many things like that which we are not known about. And the Brahma is itself like this. So the way we see Brahma, the way we see the life, the way we see the world, of course, it does exist, but it does not exist in the way we see. That's why, there are a lot of, when we see the Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna always say, you found me in every creature. So when he say you found me in every creature, a normal human mind will say, oh, there is a Krishna in everyone. No, he wanted to convey other message and another message, which means that the Brahma, the higher eternity, that Purushta, the tattva Purush, it exists in every creature. Even in the chair where I'm sitting right now, my clothes, everything, my breath, there is a Brahma. In the scientific word, you can also say there is an atom. So, these are the limitations of the mind, which we cannot understand because we don't have that Brahma Gyan. But through the Adi Shankaracharya's reading, we can get clarified in the next chapter, which is called Avirodha. It means non-conflict. So, when we talk about the second chapter, Avirodha, it talks about all the contraindications we were facing in the Upanishad. As I told you, like the prana has been misinterpreted in Upanishad. There were some other words was also misinterpreted, especially in the Chandogya Upanishad, if I can recollect. But yes, the second chapter is the most important chapter. To all the tark and vitarka, it has been cleared in the second chapter. And that's why they also took the Samkhya philosophy, because when the Samkhya philosophy say the entire sansar, the whole world has been evolution of Prakriti, but the Brahma Sutra doesn't agree on that, because that's not true. The Prakriti is the form of a matter, and matter, there was something which is ever existing before even this matter, before even the Purusha Vishesha. Okay, so that is something which Brahma Sutra took as a base and trying to work around the Samkhya philosophy, which is of course taken out from the Upanishad itself. The third chapter is called Sadhan. Now, there's a difference between Sadhan and Sadhana. Sadhana means the tools you are using to gain the spiritual enlightenment, where the sadhan means a transportation means to reach from this place, from point A to point B. So there is a difference between two words. So here Adi Shankaracharya used the word sadhan pad. So sadhana pad is the third chapter which tells about the moksha, the kevalya, how to reach to the kevalya. And to understand the kevalya, Adi Shankaracharya explained, if I tell you the summary of it, he was telling the explanation of that the Jiva and Brahma is not separate. The misconception we all have is that we consider Jiva and Brahma in a two different entity. Actually, it's only one. And once we understand that there is one unity in everything, we understand the Brahma Sutra in a deeper way, but there is a long explanation, and every sutra you have to recollect, you have to do a lot of adhyana on it, you have to do a lot of swadhyaya on it, you have to apply on it, and then you will understand what actually our sages were trying to present in front of us. But anyways, we are living in the Kali Yuga, and this time is not a correct surrounding for us to put ourselves into that state. So moving ahead forward, Shankaracharya also tell us that the first step to reach to these states are purifying your antakarana. It means you have to purify yourself first. Once you understand how you can purify your antakarana, and there are certain ways where Adi Shankaracharya ji tell us. There are various ways explained in Yoga Sutras as well to purifying the human soul, the work of yoga to reunite, and then later you can proceed. Then later, Adi Shankaracharya ji also speaks about how we are not just body and mind, we are beyond it. And I don't know if you are a follower of Sadhguru, he also speaks about, he's a Vedanti, so he speaks about, he teaches in his meditation, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. So that's the Vedantic outlook of the teaching, that we are something beyond the body and mind. The whole idea behind is to not get stuck into the senses and not get overpowered with the senses outlook. So, in this one, they talk about Mukti, Jivan Mukti, they talk about Tattvamasi, they talk about Aham Brahmasmi, and the fourth chapter talks about the Phala. What are the fruits you're going to get? Of course, everyone wants reward. but also the Brahma Sutra talks about that is something which you should not be focused upon like any other scripture. Like Yoga Sutra also speaks same, and even Bhagwan Krishna also speak the same, that you should not focus on the phala. Phal ki chinta mat karo. So that's something which you need to be focused upon. So, as I said, that all these 10 acharyas have said something, and it's very important that we follow up Shankaracharya's teaching, because there is no bhed, there is no conflict between astey and mithya. He cleared that very specifically. And why we have to praise Veda Vyasa? Because he was someone who united the work of Upanishad, because earlier the Upanishad teachings were spreading everywhere, so that's why he brought it together. So that's the entire thing about Vedanta. That's a small introduction of Vedanta, what Brahma Sutra teaches us, who were the people who came together. There are many acharyas, and it is also a very funny thing in the Indian tradition. They say that never touch the feet of someone who haven't studied Vedanta. But nowadays, no one touches anyone's feet because it's such a very highly influenced by the Western culture. But it has been said that don't touch the feet of someone who haven't studied or who haven't has the knowledge of Vedanta, which is in itself a true thing, because the Vedantic scholars are the one who has the access of knowledge, and this is something which we all have to go through at least once in a lifetime. We have to study Vedanta because these are the highest form of teaching. Other form of Puranas, they give the teachings of life, but these are not the Brahma Gyan. These are not the Gyan of the eternal truth of life. So that's why the Vedantic teachings in life is very important, and that is how you can remove the Trishna, Bij, and remove that ignorance just by Brahma Gyan. So that's all about Brahma Sutra, and thank you so much. And if you really like this video, just give us the comment, and if I did any mistakes, please forgive me. I'm still pursuing it. I have no mastery over this knowledge. So if I did any mistakes, I apologize. And all this knowledge is not mine. It has been given by the sages, and I have studied it. And I'm a passionate reader and a reader of Vedantic philosophy. I have studied in Hindi, but I tried my best just right now to translate into the English language. I hope you enjoyed it. If you really like, you can like my video, you can share, and you can also subscribe, and write down on the comment what would you like to know more. If you want to study Vedanta in depth, I don't know if I can do that, but let's see. Maybe next time in the future. I'll see you. Hari Om.